Hi guys, it's so good after 2 years of online events to finally be back in person. I hope the new versions of COVID won't stop us from having our future events also in person. Happy to see some old faces and some new faces, and really happy to have our guests with me today. Just a short introduction for those of you who don't know me. My name is Agata. I'm a user experience designer. Currently, I'm part of the digital team at Qatar Foundation. I work a lot with startups. I'm a prototyping and design and branding mentor and trainer for various startup institutions. And sometimes I'm also here at Startup Grind, and I'm talking to entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, and I'm trying to squeeze all the great ideas and all their best practices so that we can all learn from that. Without further ado, I'll introduce our guests today. Please cheer a bit for them, because I feel that they need a bit of encouragement. They are awesome, but they're a tiny bit stressed. So I hope that the casual style of startup events will make it comfortable for everyone. Our first guest is Ariane Gibert. Ariane is a digital expert, content creator, a serial entrepreneur as well. She's interested in sustainability, circular economy, fashion. We will talk about her businesses in a bit. So yeah, Ariane, so great to have you here. Next we have, and just why is Ariane here? Because today we're talking about hackathons, and especially one particular hackathon, the first e-commerce hackathon that was organized by Innovation Cafe a few weeks back. And Ariane, with her project Magaia, won third place, and we'll talk about Magaia in a moment as well. And the second place was the winners of the second place. That's the startup Ariva, and we have two representatives from that startup. We have Khaled Al-Adba. I always switch those two letters, so that's the main reason why I have my notes, is just to pronounce correctly your name. So Khaled is an engineer, is a PhD candidate at Qatar University. You have around 10 years of experience in oil and gas, is that right? And Swapan, you're also an engineer, chemical engineer. Yes. Almost 30 years of experience, also oil and gas. I know that you're both interested in AI and sustainability in multiple topics. But your project, we're going to talk about it, is also revolving around engineering, right? It's a platform for connecting engineers and people who need engineering services. So to begin with, I would love to talk about your project, about those projects that won second and third place during the hackathon. Ariane, would you like to tell us about Magaia? What is Magaia about? What was the initial idea for the project? Where are you now?
Yeah, I can tell you. So Magaia came from my first business, Subti, and it came from a need that I saw in the market. So it's basically a blockchain-enabled smart tag that allows businesses to track the carbon footprint of the items that they're producing. These smart tags can be embedded in any items, and you as a customer, when you go to a store, you're able to see what is the carbon impact of the item that you might be purchasing. So this is the initial idea in a nutshell that we're still developing. We're now part of Accelerate in QSTP. So in fact, we're really developing the project right now, and we're going to be pitching in March and see what happens next. So it was really just an idea a few weeks ago, just a thought in my mind. It was not a business at all. There was nothing, and we started from zero.
Yeah. That's great. So the hackathon really, that's where the idea grew from scratch, yeah?
And literally from zero, and I remember the first day of the hackathon, we had to come up with a business Canva. And this was the first time that I sort of put the thought into paper, so yeah, it's pretty new.
That's wonderful. We'll talk more about the hackathon experience in a moment. Khaled, tell us about Ariva. Tell us what is the project about. Tell us about your team, how you guys connected, and how you ended up at the hackathon with your project.
Let me start with how we knew each other, and then maybe you can talk about Ariva later. So I've been working with Swapan for 3 years in the office with just colleagues, and we're just sitting face to face next to each other, right? And one day he said, Khaled, I have a crazy idea. I want to do something, right? And I said, I'm with you. Let's do it, right? And basically, this is how we started, and it's basically centered around trust and trusting each other, that each one have a certain competencies that we have what it takes to actually deliver, right? And then we talked about what we can do, and then we talked about Ariva.
Yeah, so Ariva is a product. I won't say it's a product. It's actually a pain which we had been seeing, but we kind of never thought that way. Yeah, we always saw it was very difficult to hire expert engineers. It costs a lot. It takes a long time. So what we were actually, most of our ideas come. One of the secret, it comes in a coffee shop. Okay, so if you drink coffee enough, you can get great ideas. So we're thinking that what is this pain about, and why is it happening? We are not trying to solve it just like that. We said, why is it happening? So we were drilling down, and then we saw that there is a genuine pain, not only in our sector. Whosoever we talk to, they speak almost similar things, maybe represent slightly differently. And that's when we started thinking that, okay, there is a business need, but then came the hackathon, because hackathon really triggered a huge step jump for us, because hackathon was particularly for e-commerce, and we are not a commerce people, right? So we are hardcore engineers. So the e-commerce concept pushed us to think that how can we make it so efficient that the experience can be same as Amazon or same as other proven e-commerce platforms. And that combination of people, process, and some simple ideas made Ariva where we are today.
That's great. Swapan, I know you from before the hackathon. We crossed paths earlier
Yes.
at QSTP during the Accelerate program. And I wanted to touch upon that. I want to talk about your previous startup experiences, because you, all of you had some business ideas and some entrepreneurial achievements in the past. So I want to talk about your journey. Is it your second startup? Were they more? What's your track record? We're in a startup community. I love sharing such experiences. I think it's great to know the profile of a successful entrepreneur.
Thank you for asking. I came from a chemical engineering background with lots of about global experience of working in 8 different countries for Shell and Exxon. So I have seen a lot of operations. So my initial idea was particularly to develop solutions for carbon capture. Yeah, industrial carbon capture or those solutions. So I started working. I put my idea to QSTP, and I was accepted in Accelerate. We went through this concept, and the product almost came through. I think this is also a learning for anybody who is starting to think, what can they do? I believed in that cause and started working on it, and QSTP program really helped tremendously, because I had no idea how to build a business. Having an idea, but building a business are very different skill sets, but everything is learnable with good help, and those good helps are available in Qatar through QSTP, through QDB, through Cubic. I think there are many other avenues, and once we did that, it came to a product almost going to be launched, and then came Corona. And if you follow the market, the oil price went down from $80 to $10. And then in some cases, some countries, it went even negative. That means you have to pay them to buy oil. So my market segment completely so-called disappeared for a year. There is no buyer of my product. So what do? I think, but the core learning that we had from QSTP, that journey, it really helped us to really look at, okay, one did not work, it doesn't matter. The product is still valuable, it may come back, but you are not going to sit idle and keep thinking, oh, we had a failure. We simply pivoted to the idea of Ariva, because if you see, I'm sure, does anybody know in their family or friends somebody lost job during Corona? Raise your hands. Yes, right? So there were people who were reaching out to us to say, hey, you know, I know you guys are now entrepreneur. I'm either losing jobs or I've lost job. Can you give a job? The other side was, there were industry where we worked, they said, to cut cost, we have let go many people, but we still need those experts. We find a way to give them back at a lower cost. That was the trigger from both sides to think differently into it. But the learning process that we went through during Hackathon, I really want to mention that, because I think Hackathon gave us those, the booster rocket. Rocket can fly itself, but why they put booster? Because they really catapult you much faster. And that's why if next time, anytime you hear Hackathon, go and participate. You do not know how beautiful it is.
It's an addiction. Yeah, once a startupper, I think you're always going to be a startupper. I mean, I'm sure you're going to be successful in your businesses, but we love the thrill and we love the excitement of solving problems and creating new things. And I think, Ariane, this is also not your first project. You have a platform called Sukti. Could you tell us a bit about it and how it is related to Magaia, whether there is a connection or not? I believe there is.
Yeah, so I'm the CEO and founder of Sukti. So it's basically a platform where you can buy and sell pre-loved fashion. So we incubated in Cubic also. And I think both ideas relate to each other because it just comes back to my vision. I really want to change the way we consume things. And I really believe that if we want to have the planet as we have it today, we have to change our behavior. It doesn't mean that you're going to have to stop showering or stop buying clothes, but you just have to find a different way to consume. And I want to help people and brands to change the way they operate their businesses and their habits, so that we can all go towards this same goal. So this is why they're sort of connected in a way.
But you're adding a layer of innovation, right? You want to use blockchain, you want to use NFTs, so it's very future-oriented, not only in terms of being driven by values and mainly sustainability, but also you want to leverage the current trends, right?
Yeah, and I think to come back to what you were saying, I think Corona has changed a lot of things for businesses, and especially when it comes to e-commerce. So a lot of brands have developed their e-commerce offering. However, I believe that the physical retail space is still here to stay, and so my idea helps merge the convenience of e-commerce with also the pleasure of going shopping, of having an experience, a social experience with your friend, going to stores. So I think we need to keep coming up with new ideas, new innovation. We need to harness new technologies in order to support businesses in meeting their objective and evolving with customers as well.
I love that. I would be really sad if the only thing we end up with is the metaverse. I mean, I'm curious to see where it goes, but I'm really also hoping for some actual physical experiences like what we're having tonight. Khaled, tell us a bit about the hackathon experience. Tell us what motivated you to participate, and what were your expectations before the event itself?
It will be funny to say that we had absolutely no idea what we were getting into, right? And for us, it's just a black box, right? But I'm very, very happy that now that we have gone through this experience that we have entered, right? The thing that I really liked about the hackathon is we were centered and we were around very talented people, people who have quite good ideas, and also the trainers and coaches, right? Like yourself and lots of many coaches in the hackathon as well. You wouldn't find all of that people anywhere else. If I'm trying to get you to get your advice right now, it may be in a month's time, right?
I'll tell you a secret. I usually don't pick up phones. I hate phone calls, but if you text me, there's a high chance I'll reply immediately.
Yeah. So having people dedicated for us for 3 full days, that was a plus, right? And whether it's from a business model, design, or even pitching skills, right? So we saw people who have very good ideas, but they were or didn't have the storytelling, right? So there were people on the hackathon just to teach them how to tell a story, and that will get the attention of of people and investors as well.
Yeah, that's the energy in the room during the hackathon, for me personally, that was amazing. So many motivated people, so passionate about what they're doing, and also a huge cross-pollination of disciplines. So, you know, having people from so many different backgrounds in one place, that can, you know, we're bigger than the sum of our parts, right? So that was really incredible. Swapan, tell me, what did you like most about the hackathon?
If I
besides winning,
if I summarize what really I loved about hackathon are the mentors. Means any word cannot explain how rich that experience is and how much valuable that is. Because if you do not know them, you simply do not know them. Yeah. And they gave their time, energy, money, and everything to each of the participants. And I think that really you cannot evaluate it into a money term. And having them, talking to them, building a relationship, yeah, that ability to build relation, that will take you way longer, maybe for decades or whole life. I think that's one of the key things I'm carrying and cherishing with me from the hackathon.
That's fantastic. I think one of the another benefit is that when you do have a deadline, you are forced to, you know, get things done, and you know, you are able within 3 days. You're able to achieve sometimes more than you would otherwise in months, right? Just because you have that set process. And I remember talking to Ariane that the schedule is crazy. Like, there were so many deliverables, and you know, all the teams were pushed so hard to submit everything. But I think that in the end, the outcome was amazing, despite the fact that it was really difficult. Ariane, tell us, what did you enjoy most? What was the biggest benefit for you?
I mean, definitely what these guys have said, the mentors, being able to speak to people that have a completely different perspective than your own. But what I enjoyed the most is I remember the first day, I just, as I said, had this idea, right? I couldn't even really pitch it properly because it was just an idea, and I really enjoyed being challenged. You know, people telling me, but why are you doing this? And I think being challenged is really important, because I think maybe as entrepreneurs or inventors, sometimes we fall in love with our ideas. We love what we're thinking about. We dream about it. We do like Pinterest boards, or we do like mirror boards like we do. But I think being challenged by real people, it makes a huge difference. And as you said, the time constraints, forcing yourself to do a prototype, not having this perfectionism that makes you procrastinate. I think that's really important, and that, I think, in terms of output, for me, helped me tremendously, because I think that we tend to look for the perfect moment to do something, or the perfect design, the perfect font, whatever it is, but it never comes. And I think opportunities like a hackathon is a perfect way to kind of throw yourself in the water, and everybody swam in the end, nobody sunk. So I think it's a really good example.
There is a saying that I really like, that if it's perfect, you are too late, right? So
I am too slow.
yeah. So that time pressure, I think that was really great. And also, you said when we work alone, we tend to fall in love with our ideas, and having that many mentors also gave you the chance to get a lot of feedback. Did you get some harsh and tough feedback to accept, or was more or less smooth? Because sometimes that's the hardest part for startuppers, to hear that something is not perfect in their idea. They need to pivot, they need to change, they need to adjust. Being challenged, yeah? So, Ariane, did you have moments like that in your project?
Yeah, definitely. Especially on the first day, it was really tough, because we came in this hackathon with just almost nothing. And so sometimes it was scary seeing other teams sort of rally together and working really fast. And of course, with the deliverables, I was with my brother on this project. We had time in the middle of the night where we were thinking we're not going to do this. But in the end, it worked out. So it was really good.
What about you, Khaled?
We have pivoted many times, right? So we had to change the idea many times to be able to break it down really, to be able to give the customer what it needs, and it have to be back to the skeleton, and it have to be very minimum, right? So at the beginning we tried to make a mega project, but then the question was asked, what can you sell today? How can we break it down into a point that it will get running, and then you just build on it, right? And we've been challenged all the way, right? And I really like that. And like you said, people tend to fall in love with their ideas. And having someone from the outside with cold eye review, I would call it, challenging things, say, Khaled, why are you doing this, right? And really make me think, right? But I have to be in that zone to be able to accept people, right? Whether it's a small comment or even someone says, change it out completely, but I need to understand why. And once I do that, I would be figuring out what's the best way to deliver my project.
I always say that feedback is a gift, no matter how harsh. And you're going to get that feedback eventually, probably. It's better to get it early from a mentor or from some advisors than but not being able to sell your product or service. So yeah, I'm glad that you had such a good experience. And now I want to talk about the even nicer parts, the awards. What did you guys win? Swapan, tell us, what was the second place award?
Yeah, I will ask Khaled to speak about it. What did we win?
So the event had lots of sponsors, and I believe there was 5 sponsors giving in-kind services, right? And it was mostly having access to these companies and to their resources. And we are talking how to take advantage of that, how can we bring the most value back to our product, whether from design perspective, from the legal perspective, finance, and bringing all of that together and using these resources the best way that we could.
I think commercially, if you package them, how much value it is, it reaches about, I think, $400,000 to $500,000 equivalent. And that itself is you call it, your tank becomes filled up. Yeah. Indeed. Imagine this, if you don't have it, you are trying to achieve
such an oil and gas
way of speaking. We are very storyteller, So I think I would say that if you take the money aside, I really valued the value of the relationship that we built, and you cannot put a dollar sign into it, and those are going to benefit us in a very long term.
Having the connection and people opening doors, right? And say, I know someone who can help you, right? So having that access by itself is quite great.
And I think that sometimes the participants of hackathons are disappointed because they read the small print and like, I thought I'm gonna get 400,000 cash. What is that, right?
Yeah,
They're like
not
voucher services. This doesn't make sense. But actually, when you're forced to use actual services that you need to grow your business, and it's a directed investment, and I think that might be very beneficial. Plus that networking that otherwise would not maybe happen or would be much more difficult to achieve. And talking about benefits from the awards, Ariane, I believe you already started. Not using the services, but like meeting the representatives of the companies that were awarding, and tell us about it. Did you have a good meeting today?
Yeah, it was this morning, so you're very fast. No, so this morning I met with the CEO of MBK Holdings. And so we basically talked about future partnerships together, how they might be able to help me on my journey. And what I really liked about the conversation that I had is, like Khaled was saying, it's about opening doors. It's about saying, well, I know this person, they might be able to help you, let me put you in relation with them. And it's also, I think, being able to nurture talent. And I feel really grateful that people see a potential in me and they'll be willing to invest their time and connections in me, in sort of mentoring, coaching me. So this is really valuable.
That's fantastic. And I want to hear about the next steps now. What are you looking forward to? What do you need? Are you growing your team? Are you looking for funding already? What are your launch plans? Ariane, tell us about Magaia. What's on your journey?
So as you know, because I asked you, I'm definitely looking to have technical people join our team. I'm also open to other types of profiles as well.
She's accepting applications. Is there any passionate tech people who love NFTs, I think, and sustainability and fashion, I think.
And blockchain.
And blockchain.
Yeah. So I'm always looking to grow my team, to meet like-minded people, even for Sukti. I think we're a great community here, and it's really exciting maybe to meet any of you. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. So right now, as I mentioned, I'm part of Accelerate with Magaia. So I'm still also willing to take people in our team. So yeah, these are the next steps. Sukti is still growing. So we'll be looking for a second round of probably funding. This is going to be our next step. So it's all really, I'm really excited for 2022.
I just wanted to touch upon the Accelerate at the Qatar Science and Technology Park, because that's also an outcome of the hackathon, right? Mohamed Zabian, who is the program manager at QSTP, was one of the mentors. He liked the idea of Magaia, and despite the fact that Accelerate was already running, I think it was past the first week of the cycle, he invited Ariane to jump in. So you see, it's just a stream of connected opportunities and a great network of people. So I really encourage you, next time there's a hackathon, to check it out. You might be surprised with the outcomes. What about you guys? What about Ariva? Khaled, tell us. What are the next steps on your journey? I've seen your mockups. Guys, these guys have hundreds of interconnected screens ready. It's so impressive. It's so, so developed. When are you planning to launch? What are you looking for at the moment?
We just got incubated within Cubic a couple of weeks back, and they're happy to be our first investor. And then 22 then means it's going to be very, very busy for us to develop Ariva and launch it. And we're looking at launch it very, very soon. We're looking into Feb or March to be able to launch the product. And yeah, so it's going to be exciting for us. And we're looking for the next step.
Yeah, I think it would be also good to tell that although we here, when we say Ariva, we are talking about Ariva resources. But if you can read it, Ariva has got much long shot. Yeah, so we are not stopping with Ariva resources. We strongly believe in the vision that resources is your foundation. On top of that, we can build Ariva projects, Ariva work, Ariva spaces, and project bot. And that's where we are taking this whole concept of how your son and my son, or your daughter and my daughter, your brothers and your sisters will work in future, but can we bring that forward from, so what looks like future, can we bring it forward? And that really excites us, and we are also open to, we are looking for tech people and marketing, because we are going to go in market sprint, and many other opportunities. So anybody want to work with this concept, or they like it and they can contribute, we are open to discuss about it.
February, March next year, that's very soon. So potentially the finishing touches before the World Cup are be done through Ariva. Okay, I wanna step back a bit from the hackathon, and I want to look at the bigger picture, at the startup ecosystem in Qatar. We have different initiatives, and I'm wondering if you guys think that what would you improve? Is there something missing, or do you think we have an awesome system? What are the key ingredients of that system that you think deliver most value, at least maybe for your projects? What are your thoughts about that? Khaled, tell us.
Let me start with a good thing. If I go 10 to 15 years back, entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs was not a thing in Doha, right? It's either you have an idea or a small business and nothing in between, right? But that quite developed over the last 10 to 15 years. And if you got a really good idea, a good team, and there's a good opportunity, you can get incubated within 3 to 4 centers that we have in Doha. And they're quite willing to invest in you, right? So we do have the environment, right? And we can say that we're competing in the region, right? And Doha will have to keep up with its neighbors if we'd like to attract startups. But the thing that I would like really to improve is legislations, right? If I have an idea and I would like to test it out, how much am I going to burn to be able to get it out in the market, right? And if I compare that with other countries, I would have to burn a lot, right? And if you look at the legislations, what do I need to have a business, right? It will eat up into my savings, right? So how can the legislations help entrepreneurs, someone who have a really good idea, if it's going to fail, it will fail fast and cheap. It will not stop that person from going to having another idea and test it out, right? And if we have the legislation that support that, that will be great.
That's a great point, and I feel you. Like I hate paperwork, and these are some of the thinking about legal issues that this is stopping me from many things in my life. But so this is something that hopefully incubation solves, free zones, right? Maybe there could be some support. I think you also got some legal services as part of your award. Hopefully we can learn also from our neighbors and from other countries, like how to facilitate that process for young companies. Swapan, what are your thoughts on that? What are we missing?
I think before we say what we are missing, we must recognize the opportunities that is current and available. yeah, then only you can improve on that. Means anyone in this room who thinks that, oh, being an entrepreneur is a big ask and I do not know where to go, who can help me, trust me, we had gone through these in last difficult period. It's not a beautiful period for start a business. We have been supported, nurtured, helped and really taken by hands in Qatar, which you cannot believe. There are so many wonderful people, institutions. You can always really knock on door and talk to them and they will really do the best. So do not stop coming forward. It's with you, not with them. You have to come forward. The second thing that we found is, as a startup is about an attitude. It's not a project or a business. It's an attitude to fail, attitude to keep cost low, attitude to do that. What we mostly faced is when we want to develop something, we really want to use local resources, but their cost structures are meant for large corporations or the large enterprises, and startups can never match that kind of cost structure. And that's the opportunity that I see, that need to improve. So we need to bring certain group of people or group of service providers who are purely focusing on startups, because they cannot pay today, but they can actually pay back much bigger in future. So that's a different model, and that need to be nurtured.
So guys, if you want to provide some services in exchange for shares from Ariva, maybe that's a good opportunity to talk to Swapan. Ariane, what are your thoughts on our ecosystem, startup ecosystem? What do you enjoy? What do you think provides the most value, and what could we possibly improve?
I'm French, but coming from the UK and more of the environment in the UK, Doha, I think, and Qatar, as Swapan said, they do take you by your hand. You just need an idea. When it comes to Cubic, to QSTP, it just comes from an idea and you get a lot of support, and I think that's great. I think we could benefit from more hackathon, this sort of event, more sort of energized event. I think we could benefit from this, maybe some ideas for the future. And I think we could benefit from consolidating all of the different islands of help that are available into maybe a bigger consortium. But we should be, I think, really, it's pretty cool what is happening in Qatar right now. Even events like these, I think it's really, really cool what's happening, yeah.
I think a bit of that consolidation is part of the vision that Avneet had, and that Avneet wants to create with Doha startups and that huge database. And we have to recognize so many great institutions and initiatives that we have here. Of course, Startup Grind, you know about it because you're here today, but we have Innovation Cafe that organized the hackathon, and it's also a place in the Pearl and in the Qatar Scientific Club that you can just hang out with and meet other entrepreneurs or work from. Qatar Scientific Club with their great facilities. I've discovered that only recently, but this is something I really encourage you to see. There is so much to do there, and of course the acceleration programs that we've talked about, right? Cubic, QSTP. You guys took inverse paths, right? So QSTP, Cubic, QSTP. But I definitely see the value that it gives to entrepreneurs, not only in terms of skills, mentorship, but also just in terms of determination to push the project forward and to keep delivering and showing the progress. I'd like to open now the floor for questions from the audience, guys. I'm sure you have many questions for our panelists. Does anyone would like to ask anything? Don't be shy. By the way, we have also Avneet with us. Avneet was also a participant of that hackathon that we were talking about. Yeah. So you can also ask questions to Avneet. Now she's part of the Startup Grind and Doha Startups team. So you see, it's one big family.
Absolutely, yeah. Regarding when you get an idea, when you get an idea, you want to concretize. So where do you go to know if it's maybe someone else already come up with you a few moments earlier, or and to know the procedure to implement it?
I think of course, you have to do your due diligence, so you can do some research. Maybe your idea exists in the country or in a different market, so you have to do your due diligence. But I think whenever you have an idea, the first thought you should, I think, have is to think whether you're solving a problems and how many people are having these problems. If it's just a minority of people or a large amount of people. And you can test your idea no matter how small the scale. You don't need a perfect solution to test out your idea. But my suggestion would be, as soon as you have an idea, check, okay, if it's really readily available, I wouldn't do it. But if it's not, just do a prototype, a minimum viable version of your product, just something very basic, and test it out. The best feedback you can get is feedback from other people other than yourself, I think.
Thank you.
So I can add on top of that. So although Ariva, in the first phase, it looks like, are we creating other job platform like LinkedIn Jobs or Upwork or something, right? Because job is not first time in this world. It had been there for 100 years. So what's different? What are you doing differently that no other else is doing? And if you actually try to solve this problem, go and talk to the people who are suffering from it, right? And once you start talking to them, formally, informally, listen, it actually gives you the confidence to take the next step, because then you are confirming yourself, not only what you think, what all others are thinking, what potential customers are thinking. Then you are in a right step. And there are one thing you may not, I will suggest you, type out simple, idea to business conversion in Google. You won't believe how much free materials are available today. Yeah, and then if you are in Doha, within 3 kilometers, I'm sure you will find some institute, either it's QSTP or Cubic or Startup Grind, or they are there in this city. You don't have to go far.
Thank you. I think you'll make a great marketing.
and maybe to add to that, you don't know how many people that I have met. If I meet them today, they will say they have a great idea. But if I meet them a couple of years later, they will talk about the same idea, right? And please don't just keep that idea and validate it for too long, right? Just do the due diligence, do your research, right? And if it's going to solve a problem, go to the people who are having that problem and start validating. The worst case scenario is that it's not going to be a valid business case, but you actually, if you would like to go back and test another idea, you have already gone through the journey. You have acquired some skill set that will help you to acquire or get to the business case, the second one, much easier, right? So the learning curve in the first one is very steep, and you will have to be patient, right, to go through that journey. But don't say I have an idea and stop there. Yeah, that's my advice.
Ideas are cheap, execution is everything, right? Yes. And I'm biased, and I love design and design thinking, and what you guys said is pretty much the definition of the design thinking process, where we listen to our users, get into the field, do our research, prototype we start with a low resolution. We get as much feedback as possible, and we gradually refine to that perfect version. So yeah, any more questions?
Hi, my question is for Ariane. How do you how do you plan to take advantage of NFTs in tracking carbon footprints?
Okay, so if I just talk to you a bit more about my idea is that basically when you buy a physical item right now, for example, you're getting a receipt, right? I believe that in the future and with Magaia, instead of that, you'll be getting an NFT that's attached to the item you just purchased. Into an NFT, you can embed pretty much everything you want. So all of the journey of the item will be embedded into that NFT that you will purchase at the same time as you purchased a physical item. So this is the idea in a nutshell.
Thank you.
Hello. Given that one goal of this session is to convince people to consider hackathons in the future, I have one question about mentors and how were they challenging participants' ideas. Now, I believe that so many times we've heard today that mentors were challenging your ideas and that helped you improve the idea. But my concern is that I believe that mentors usually challenging is important only by 20%, and the main challenge should come from the customers, because these are the people that you are selling to. So I just want to know what space have you had in the hackathon in this sense? Like, were you able to challenge to have your ideas challenged by customers, by your customers?
I'll just comment from a mentor perspective and Magaia, because me challenging Ariane was telling her, create a survey and send it to like 100 users before you pitch your results at the demo and have some actually user data. So I hope that this was also part of the process, but I'll let you guys comment on that.
No, so this is definitely something that we've done, the survey. But also, before we started the hackathon, we cheated a little bit and we spoke to about 15, 20 people and we said we might be asking you questions in the next couple of days. So actually, I thought that for the hackathon experience, I agree with you. To be true, we had to talk to customers and we had to be challenged by them. It was just triply challenging because whenever we had to pivot, we had to do it in a very, very fast way. But I totally agree with you. Being able to speak to customer, even in that short amount of time, is just really, really important, and it helped us a lot.
Would you like to
Just
add
to
anything?
You're absolutely right. I've seen startups that really start with a product. And when they create that product, they chase customers around to say, I have that product that is going to ease your pain or is going to benefit 1, 2, 3, and then it's going to help you out, right? But some of them are being surprised that customers do not really want that product, right? And you're absolutely right to say we need to validate with customers, and I believe what we have been doing is spent almost 4 months only listening to customers. We didn't even talk about the product, we just talked to customers and got their feedback, just to know what pain do they have and what are their aspirations, right? And then from that feedback, we had to figure out what's the best product that will fit the customer.
So the interesting fact about being at a hackathon is that, as you rightly said, you start from scratch sometimes. And at that point in time, the people around you are mostly the mentors instead of the customers, because you have not yet developed that idea. And a very important aspect of what do you ask your customers is what the mentors could help you gain that kind of a knowledge.
Indeed.
And how do you ask your customers? Who are your customers? Are they the right customers that you are looking for? These are some of the pointers that probably during a hackathon, the mentors would help you lead to the right customers. And that is of significant value, because sometimes, as you are rightly saying, storytelling is an art. Asking questions is an art. And if you do not ask the right questions to your customer, you might not really end up with the right customer. So for that, probably in an environment where, in a hackathon environment, you would get those mentors to really create the right customers for you and also lead them to the right answers that you would expect from the customers. So probably that helps, if not.
Yeah, I can definitely tell how. I think we do not need to mix between mentors and customers. Who are mentors? If you understand that, these mentors are real business people has gone through this journey for decades. So they have matured themselves to the pinnacle of business. So they have done all of this. Yeah. When they challenge, they actually want to see you succeed. They know the pitfalls that or the potholes where you may actually fall down. By asking those questions, I recall even Avinash told us that, okay, you have created one story, but does this story fit for every customer? And that word made us to create at least 3 or 4 stories, because whosoever we talk to, you cannot sell the same story to Agata and same story to Khaled, because their needs are different. So they actually pushes us or lead us to articulate how we should approach the customers, understand the customer's personality even way before you touch them. Yeah, so not clubbing together, really break them down, understand them, and really going down as much as possible. And that's where only the mentors can do it, because often we are into an environment where we can see what we can see. We have got a myopic vision because we just want our product to become successful, but we do not want to see where it may not become. And that's where mentors really take you out. No, don't go there because these are your pitfalls, or address them. So it really works in a way that before, if you go to a customer, if you have got a good mentors, you don't just go to a customer without a purpose or just to have a discussion. You go to a customer with a simple goal, convert them into your customer.
Talking about splitting, I just have a comment, because you guys are so impatient to get that money, but users and customers, not always the same thing. And let's start with the users and actual problems and actual user needs. You do your research with that, you talk to them, and eventually maybe it's going to be the person that pays, but maybe in your whole scenario, in your whole project, the paying customer is going to be someone else than actually the user using your product. So, but yeah, definitely, let's talk to the users, not only the mentors. I fully agree, and I hope that all mentors are pushing, participants to actually get out in the field and do their research. You wanted to add something, right?
Yes, thank you for your answers. Now, I think that asking the customers is the first part of getting the solid data. Based on my very humble experience, I found out that nothing gives you solid information about the customer behavior and the customer need more than asking the customer to pay for your service or for your product. So the questionnaires and talking to the customers is very early stage and gives you very soft validation. It just allows you to formulate your experiment, design it, and then go to the customer and ask them to pay for this service or for this product. Now, I believe that, of course, business people or mentors, they are very skilled in business, but the problem is that when they don't have the pain, they won't speak the same language as you. Now, personally, I've met one time with an investor who was offered the opportunity to invest in Airbnb, and he rejected it. He said, I did not like the idea. Now he regrets it, even though he's a huge investor. And they were like, the startup was in his niche, but he couldn't see the pain because he wasn't suffering from the same pain. This is why. Now, I believe that mentors, yes, should challenge entrepreneurs and participants to keep talking to the customers. keep getting their feedback from the ground, from the market. But also they have another role in helping participants design their experiment in which they would ask the customers to pay for this service. This is a huge role that participants usually don't know how to do, especially at the very early stage. The MVP, it's basically multiple MVPs, it's not one MVP. Multiple MVPs that allow you to get solid data from the market where the customers really have the pain. Thank you.
Hello everyone. First of all, I'm very, very happy to see the legacy of the hackathon is still continuing, and this is very, very exciting and inspiring.
If I may just jump in, for those of you who don't know, Hafzi has been the silent and the humble brain behind the whole initiative, and he spent sleepless weeks, sleepless nights, putting that whole amazing initiative together. So really, congratulations! It was incredible.
Thank you, Agata. Also, Agata, Avinash, and all the mentors. You did a great job. And really, this is the main success of the hackathon is what happens after. So seeing Ariva and Magaia, and mashallah, Ariva is also winning the Cubic, and Harris also winning the Cubic. So that's really great. My question is, what was the biggest challenges you faced after the hackathon, and how we, as mentors, as the organizers of the hackathon, how we can support for the maximum? Is it like the market access? What exactly your biggest needs that we can give, either through being with your side, getting you to the market, whatever you need. And thank you so much.
Should I answer? Well, we're still at the beginning because the hackathon hasn't been done for a very long time. But I think what you guys have been doing so far has been great, supporting us, understanding what is our vision. For example, I think with Magaia and Ariva, it's different stages probably. So for me at idea stage, it's definitely going to be advising, mentorship, being able to help me build a really good team. And basically whatever you can give us, we'll take it.
Yeah, I think for Ariva, we are a bit advanced from that way because we really want to go to market faster. One of our key challenges had been mostly because Ariva is creating a new market segment as a product. So we call it assignment as a product, and this does not exist today in the world. That means it comes with its own challenges. Yeah, sometimes disruption is good, but also be aware that legal challenges, financial challenges, the infrastructure are not ready yet. And that's one of the key challenges that we were talking yesterday, which is now we are facing with country regulations of hiring people in a particular manner, whereas we are not giving employment, but these are assignments which delivers. People could argue for hours that it is nothing but a job. So creating a new category, coming up with an idea, but also getting all the legal supports, financial supports, not only money, the financial means financial infrastructure to deliver your product. These are the helps that has to come from outside, because as a small startup, you can never do it. And hence, like post hackathon, we are reaching out and reaching out to say, hey, we need these help. And to be honest, we had meetings yesterday, 1 long hours. They are very open, talking to more people.
Thank you, Swapan. We have a few more minutes to take a couple of last questions. We have one here. Oh, you?
Hi.
Okay, sorry. Thank you so much, Ariane.
Hello, everyone. Actually, it's not just a question. I had the honor to be a mentor in the last hackathon. I just want to spot the light on a very important point here, guys, which is the big progress which happened in the, such kind of the hackathons or the, let's say, startup meetings. People who used to participate previously, like 7 to 10 years in the any business plan. I'll just give you a small story. Like 12 years, I was a startup trying to fund my project, and at that time, I had the chance to meet with my mentor. His name was Fadi Ghandour, and he's the guy who established Aramix. So at that time, we have to write like 60 to 70 pages of business plan, and the competition was named how to write a professional business plan. And for a student in university who doesn't have that, much knowledge in English and editing, etc., we were suffering at that time. Nowadays, we are just taking the startup and put him in the final stage of validating the product. So it's very big progress happened now. Yeah, and when I see those startups sitting between this number of mentors and really big business people, they are encouraging them to take your product and idea and go immediately to the market. Find somebody who buy it. No more write a business plan, 60, 70, 100 pages, buy a software to do the UML stuff. No, just do the validation, find somebody and come back to them, tell them that I already sold it. This is just a summary to all what you said, which is the importance of asking the real question to the real customer and getting the real value of that. Without selling your product or finding the, let's say, the targeted audience, you will not go further. So it's really a big progress happened, and I really encourage all of you to find your ideas. Anybody, because you now ask about an idea that you have and where do you want to start. As they said, you can find 4 to 5 to whatever the number here in Qatar. You don't need to go like far from here. Everything now is here in Doha. You just need to find maybe the real partner, the good partner, and definitely you will find the real place. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And the final question.
As you mentioned that in order to take a service from a Qatar market, so you're finding difficulty because the pricing it's for the corporates. Now, let's say as a point of view as a startup, now if you are getting 2 proposals from a big corporate company and an SME, so which one would you prefer to choose a service? Probably the same one, the pricing will be different. So would you be choosing the, let's say, a big company offering a service for a better price? Or would you be going with an SME with a lower price? Or probably, as you mentioned, a small company can take up a shares instead of getting a payment for a service. So what's your call on that?
I think I will put some hard experiences. Yeah, hard experience. I think nothing can. So when you are developing a product, it comes with a cost, and you have got 2 choices. Yeah, one is if you go to a big company, you can live with them for very long. But then for startups, one of the key thing they call it survival budget. So that means the money you have in hand, how long you can run if you are burning at a particular rate. So this is about managing your fund that you have. You cannot promise the money that you do not have in your pocket. So it's a hard decision at that point of time, making a choice between, do I survive now or do I go big way and then fail much bigger? So startups, one of the mantra that I use, fail fast and fail cheap. You should not do fail expensive, because that will hurt you, because it may demotivate you to do and pivot to another idea or other things. So if you fail fast and fail cheap, you actually have learned some key skills which you are going to use it next. So I think he can give a validation as my partner. I have figured out how to deliver things at very cheap, but it doesn't mean at all we are going down in quality. Quality remains important, but that's where comes, keep talking to people. You may actually be lucky to find someone who can deliver it at much lower cost, and that is valid for the early stage. Once you are in growth stage, then the previous technique may not work for you. Yeah, because you cannot consolidate and survive or sustain for long. then you go for the second version.
Thank you, Swapan, and thank you for this last question. It's time to conclude our event. I'd like to invite Avneet to have the last word.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you so much, Agata and Ariane, Khaled, and Swapan to be here. We are really, really glad that we got such a great response as our first event after COVID hit. Our last event was in February 2020, and now we see such great response. We would encourage you to register to our future event. Next month, we're going to hold an event with a lead angel investor. So I will be sending out the details. Hope to see you guys over there. And definitely, I look forward to getting in touch with all of you over here. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.